What's up, guys? Time for me to answer y'all's questions. Well, let's get right into it. At what point in your training journey should you focus on muscular imbalances when they expose themselves? And don't go like nitpicking the smallest little things because a lot of times we have asymmetries. So, what may come off to you as 1 centimeter of hip shift, bro, we need to fix that with these corrective exercises. Um, your left leg might be a eighth of an inch longer than your right leg, or a lot of those things, arm lengths, etc. We have asymmetries, but a muscular imbalance will show itself if it exists, and when it does, you address it. I think again, it's worth addressing, but a lot of people major in the minors when it comes to those things. Jordan or LeBron? Michael Jordan, easily. So if you grew up watching Michael Jordan and you think LeBron is the GOAT, I will humbly and respectfully disagree with you. If you did not grow up watching Michael Jordan and you think LeBron is the GOAT, shut your ass up, sit the fuck down, and raise your hand before you speak to me. Uh, is it true people gain superhuman strength after going bald? I was stronger before I went completely bald, so ask Paris. uh, what are your thoughts on controlled concentrics? Do you think they have any benefit for strength, hypertrophy, or rehab? Rehab for sure. Hypertrophy probably. Strength doubtful. Unless you're talking about like physically building into it, but directly for strength, there's no need to control your concentrics. Like you should want them to be as fast and explosive as you can every time. Like for rehab and like, if you're coming off an injury and you're feeling out the motion again and trying to build connective tissues and stuff, maybe they have a place there. And for hypertrophy, time under tension, it'll help you get to effective reps quicker. I think it can be a tool. I don't think it's something that needs to be a staple all the time, but there can be value in it. What is your personal experience dealing with elbow soreness, mild pain from pressing? Plan to work around higher end. So I've never really had much elbow soreness, and I attribute it a lot to very lightweight hammer curls, like every press day, non-negotiable. I always do that, and it's kept that at bay. Also, these extensor trainers. I all my clients, I suggest that they get these. You can get them. I don't know. Last time I checked, they were like $8.99 on Amazon. A set of them, because we're always grabbing, pulling, squeezing, even when we're pressing, when we're pulling, grabbing. And it's always training this way, but we're never training them outward. And that can relieve a lot of stress around here. And so you get these, and I keep them at my desk at work, and it trains your extensors outward, whereas we're always grabbing and gripping. This gives some resistance going the other way, and I'll sit at my desk and I'll do like sets of 20 or 25, and then do a good hold at the end and try to spread my fingers as far as I can. And my clients have had really good success with these in helping alleviate some of those symptoms. So give that a try. Best off-brand cigarettes. Okay, so I've only ever smoked one off-brand cigarette. I don't. We'll get into this. So I used to smoke. My son is across the table from me, and he's never seen me smoke because I quit long before he was born. But I used to smoke Newports. And Black and Milds when I did smoke. Anyway, so like sometimes I would steal my mom's Virginia Slim ultralight menthols, if you want to count those as off-brand, but I don't think Virginia Slim counts as off-brand. Of course, I would steal my dad smoked Marlboro Reds, and I would steal those like when I didn't have access to getting Newports when I was a wee little lad. But the only off-brand I ever smoked was a brand called Tahoe's, and I think it's regional. To like Southwest Virginia, Northeast Tennessee, and it's the most god-awful, worst tasting thing ever, and I do not recommend it. But back when I did smoke, I never bought them, but I had a friend who did. And they were like $1.27 a pack back then. This is a long time ago. Newports were like, I could get them for $2.99 a pack if I went to the tobacco outlet. Dating myself a little bit there, but yeah, it's the only off-brand cigarette I ever smoked, and so by default it's the best, but it's also the worst, and it's definitely more the worst than the best. Is there a way to reliably set up your back squat without a mirror? I mean, it's kind of a feel thing after a while, but I assume you have a smartphone. Just use the front-facing camera and set it up to where you can see it. That may help you, but you should be able to feel pretty close to being fairly even. And this is somewhere where I even my setup is a little bit off due to some of those imbalances and asymmetries we talked about earlier. But I've kind of adjusted to that, and I set up just a little bit off every time. Yeah, he said his right arm is shorter than his left. So you should be able to feel it when you unrack it and or when you squat. And when you do, just re-rack it after your first rep, and make that micro adjustment, and you should start to get the feel of where the correct position is. And like I said, if all else fails, use your front-facing camera on your mirror. How to start doing behind the neck overhead pressing without hurting yourself. So first you put the bar on the rack, and then you set up like you're gonna squat, but you don't squat, you unrack it, and then you press the bar behind your neck. No, seriously, that's it. Like, if you don't have mobility issues, like that's it. That's all I've got for you. That's literally what to do. Load management. Just don't load too much too quickly. Like, get comfortable with just the bar, and work your way up. And if you need lesser, you can start with PVC pipe or a Bella bar or something like that if you have access to it. But it's pretty intuitive, man. How would I program a strength and conditioning routine for an MMA fighter, and what stable exercises would you have in program for combat athletes? So conditioning for an MMA fighter is probably going to be sparring and rolling and doing all that stuff. I would probably just, running, swimming, like general cardio, just for capacity's sake. As far as the strength, probably it'd be really simple and not negate or limited to one specific movement or the other for these, but like a vertical press, a horizontal press, a vertical pull, horizontal pull, squat pattern, hinge pattern, and rotate them and program them around their MMA training. And probably I would physically do like, if the weight class depending, of course, like hypertrophy phases into strength phases, and then I would never peak. I would just rotate exercises and hypertrophy and strength blocks, and if they are maintaining a weight class, then I would just focus purely on the strength aspect of it, and kind of probably the 4 to 8 to 10 rep range. You don't really need to get out of that range so much, and just like I said, rotate the exercises when they plateau and whatnot, and then reintroduce other exercises. But it's more about the patterns than getting the specific movement down neurally in that case. And like I said, with the conditioning, I would just have general cardio, because they're going to get a lot of their conditioning through sparring, rolling, doing drills. And that is like the number one best way to get conditioned for a sport, is just doing the sport itself. Say you never went above 50% of your max for like a year. How much could the average natural increase their max in a peaking phase? What is the guideline for the length of the peak? So if you never went above 50%, I wouldn't go straight into a peaking phase. Like, you'd want to set yourself up with like a hypertrophy block and then a strength block at the very least to get yourself to a peak. you wouldn't just jump straight to a peaking phase from that. And length of the peak, that's going to be dependent on the lifter, their experience, and a lot of it is their experience. Like I can peak pretty quickly at this point. My general strength is pretty high. My skill level is pretty high. I don't lose a lot of skill. Like the skill part of like the power lifts is not a really high ceiling to begin with. So it's really hard to forget those skills. It's something you can get away from for a while and come back to and regain the skill relatively quickly. Unlike something like golf is extremely skilled, and to keep sharp, like you have to play golf pretty much every day to stay at that level of skill. And if you don't do it for a while, it'll take you a little bit to get it back. Whereas like powerlifting is very unskilled, and the skill of the powerlifts themselves, if you've already built that skill over years and years and years, it comes back pretty quickly. So there's no really general time to peak. Typically a meet prep is 12 to 16 weeks. And the peaking phase of it, depending upon the lifter, some as little as 2 weeks up to 6 to 8 weeks. But I wouldn't recommend going straight to a peak after not touching 50% of your max for a year. Would you rather be jacked and 5'5" or 6'4" in a beanpole? 6'4" in a beanpole, bro. That's fucking the easiest question on here. Peace!